Keep listening to Radio Vishnu 90.4 towards Knowledge Society.
Good morning, listeners. You're listening to Radio Vishnu 90.4. Shri Vishnu Educational Society and Radio Vishnu 90.4 proudly attempting Guinness Book of World Record with 100 student RJs for the duration of 72 hours, 30 minutes and 30 seconds. My name is student RJ Mallipudi Lakshmi Prashanti and I feel very fortunate for being a part of this Guinness Book of World Record. And our application reference number is 2205161257113 LRPB, and our title is Longest Radio Play Broadcast Continuously, and my allotted participant number is 90. Hi, hello, namaste. You are listening to Radio Vishnu 90.4. I am your student RJ Mallipudi Lakshmi Prashanti. I hope all of you are doing good. Today, I came up with a very interesting documentary on the life of Dr. B.V. Raju Garu. You might be thinking of who this great personality is, but no worries. You'll get to know about him after listening to this program. Not everyone is born with a silver spoon, but we need to earn it. Dr. Raju proved it correct. He was born on 15th October in the year 1920 in Kumudavalli village in West Godavari district in Andhra Pradesh, erstwhile Madras province. His father, Sri Venkata Narasimha Raju Garu, was a farmer and his mother, Srimati Bucci Rajeshwari Garu, was a homemaker. The village had only a primary school where he was enrolled, and from a very early age he showed every sign of being a bright and diligent student. After primary schooling, there was no higher education in Kumudavalli during those times. In order to pursue higher education, he needed to go to Bhimavaram town, which is a mile away from his village. School fees was also need to be paid. At that time, his family was running through a hard time financially. His father, Sri Venkata Narasimha Raju Garu, preferred Dr. Raju to stay with him and help out with his farm works rather than sending him to school by paying his little saved money for his education. There comes a turning point in every person's life which defines the trajectory of the rest of his time on this earth. In B.V. Raju's life, that moment definitely came now. His mother knew that there was something special in her son. She wanted him to pursue his dreams of higher education and spread his wings. She convinced her husband that the child must go to high school and she would pay for it. She mortgaged all her gold and received 120 rupees for it. That money was enough to cover all her son's higher education expenses. The sacrifice his mother made remained as a guiding light for him throughout his life. Young Dr. Raju was enrolled in Lutheran school and did his intermediate studies at Bandar College. In the urban high school, he was exposed to students from different strata of society, including those from the so-called lower castes. He had never thought of this before, and now he was unable to understand why some people should be treated differently due to their birth. Dr. Raju never had the feeling of upper class or lower class. He used to have lunch with his best friend who belonged to a downtrodden family. He argued with his mother about this, of what is wrong, and from that day she used to stuff extra lunch in his tiffin box. He had been married to a pretty bright Sita who came from the neighborhood village named Dirusumarru. For 60 years, she was the quiet pillar of strength that he relied on as he grew from teenager to titan. In time, the couple were blessed with Ramavati, Usharani, and Shobharani. He neared the edge of his college education. He faced the big question that every teenager on the verge of adulthood faces, the choice of career. He toyed with the idea of pursuing BA course, but soon rejected it. He sought advice from friends and elders and decided on engineering. His close friend Jagannatha Raju put him in touch with his cousin BHVK Raju, who was studying engineering at the Banaras Hindu University. BHVK Raju suggested Dr. Raju to apply at Banaras Hindu University for chemical engineering. He soon applied and got an admission in it. Life in Banaras Hindu University was not easy. The village boy from South India had to learn new languages, adapt to North Indian food and other customs. To enjoy life as a young man, he had little money left after all the expenses as a student. But Dr. Raju always believed in austerity. In 1941, Dr. Raju graduated from Banaras Hindu University with a BSc in Chemical Technology. When Dr. Raju was graduated from BHU in 1941, the Second World War was on and there were hardly any jobs to be found. He had to work as a railway guard for some time. Then he had been advised by his well-wisher Kolusurama Kotaya that the cement industry had a great future. This was his preference. His first job in the cement industry started as a daily wage worker at the Sone Valley Cement in Bihar, incidentally owned by Dalmia Industrial Group. The salary was a meager 75 paise a day, but it was at least a technical job in the cement industry, and his objective was to learn as much as he could about cement, even at the lowly level that he was working. Dr. Raju could visualize the vital strategic importance that cement would have in the future. Cement would one day rule the world, he told himself. He got down to familiarizing himself with every detail of the cement industry, starting from the tiniest nitty-gritty of the manufacturing process to imagining the impact that cement technology could have on economic development. Money would come. He was still young and his entire life lay ahead of him. Now is the time to gain knowledge and prepare a rock solid foundation on which he could build a successful professional career. Life was hard in Bihar. He had little money, poor accommodation, and the food was alien. But he was not bothered by his material conditions. His work ethic of total commitment, unfailing honesty, and strict discipline were already embedded inside him, a value system which remained pure till the last breath of his life and would inspire countless people whose lives he would touch. And his work was noticed. Within a year, he was promoted to foreman, and by 1945, he was technical assistant to the general manager of the factory. In 1946, Dr. Raju joined Assam Bengal Cement Company and was posted in its Portland Cement Factory in Bengal. He worked in various departments of the factory and excelled in all of them. It did not take long before the company's management began to take notice of the young man, who was clearly a star in the making. Indian independence was round the corner. The British managers were returning home. The government began to get worried about who would run the factories in their absence. The manager of the Assam Bengal Cement recommended that B.V. Raju should be placed in charge of the Bengal plant. The managers had not only noted his engineering and technical knowledge but also his people skills. With independence came partition and Dr. Raju was working in East Pakistan, but his Muslim staff assured him that he had nothing to fear and they would not let a hair on his head be harmed. 1,000 miles away from his home, he treated all the workers equally and generously, without any bias towards any of them. He stood beside them in all the times, going far beyond the call of duty and sometimes spending his own money. Finally, in 1949, when things were more or less calmed down, Dr. Raju handed over the factory to the Pakistan government and came back home. He had seen hard times and good times, gained a wealth of experience, worked and interacted with a wide variety of people from across the subcontinent, and earned his spurs. He was now a fully formed man with his own philosophy of life, both personal and professional. He was ready to take charge of his destiny. Dr. Raju did not have to wait long for opportunities to come his way after he returned home from East Pakistan. As he had anticipated, the Indian cement industry had started growing, and with the British gone, there was a dearth of competent engineer managers. Within weeks, he had a number of job offers in hand. After some thought, he decided to take up the one from Andhra Cement in its Vijayawada plant. Vijayawada was the nearest big city to Kumudavalli, some hours away by train or road, and he would not be too away from his parents. The best testimonial of the work he did at Vijayawada came just 2 years later in 1951 when the Ceylon, now Sri Lanka government offered him a job as one of its chief engineers, and he was the only non-European selected for the post. It is also quite remarkable that this opportunity was given to a man who was just 31 years old. Dr. Raju took the assignment and for the next 5 years helped the creation and growth of industry in Ceylon. He was directly involved in constructing and commissioning two cement factories, one paper and pulp mill, and a sugar and chemical factory. And of course, he would be known for years in Kumudavalli by the nickname Ceylon Raju. Later, it changed to Cement Raju. Returning to India in the mid 1950s, Dr. Raju joined Bagalkot Cement as general manager of the company's main plant at Bagalkot, Karnataka. In 1958, he rejoined Dalmia Cement, but this time as head of its Dalmayapuram complex near Tiruchirappalli in Tamil Nadu. This was where the company's first cement plant and one of the first in India had been set up in 1939 with a capacity of 250 tons per day and was its largest. In fact, Dr. Raju would have to manage not only the industrial facility but also, in a way, the entire township that had grown up around it. The industrial complex comprised the cement plant, the ceramics and stoneware plants, and the refractory. He spent 15 years in Dalmaipuram, not only growing it in terms of capacity but also in quality of product, efficiency, employee welfare, and every other parameter of management and societal responsibility. In 1963, Dr. Raju was sent for a 1 year program for management development at Harvard Business School. He sharpened his managerial skills there with theoretical knowledge. Thereafter, he received a management degree from that prestigious university. Dr. Raju quit Dalmayapuram in 1973 since he was invited to head the Cement Corporation of India. The staff from blue collar workers to senior officers wept as if their father was leaving them forever. His ability as an engineer had always been exceptional. Not only did he know the cement production process inside out, he was a true hands on technical person. When he walks down the floor of a plant, he would sense from the sound a machine was making that it was not functioning properly and would say, I think there's a problem with the gearbox, maybe the lubrication. The floor engineers would then investigate and discover that yes, that was exactly what the problem was. He also thought nothing of rolling up his sleeves and getting his hands dirty, doing work that managers would never stoop to do themselves and leave to lowly paid mechanics and workmen. In the 1970s, as chairman and managing director of Cement Corporation of India, Dr. Raju was visiting a plant where the stirrer in the slurry basin was not working. He climbed into the basin to check the problem himself. No public sector corporation chairman had possibly ever done such a thing. The crowd around him from top managers to blue-collar staff were amazed. But for Sri Raju, it was business as usual. He had merely done what he believed was necessary for him to do his job well. He wanted to know for himself what the problem was, and no problem in his company was too small for him to deny it his personal attention. After becoming the chairman and managing director of Cement Corporation of India, he started visiting the plants, and when he visited the plants, he walked the shop floors, he climbed the ladders, he inspected the machines, he had long conversations with the plant managers, foremen, and workers. This by itself was quite astonishing to CCI employees. CMDs had usually visited plants only on special occasions or to attend ceremonies, and no one had ever spoken to workers except for some photographs for company newsletters. And certainly, CMDs did not climb up ladders and touch machines, let alone get into slurry basins to check a problem firsthand. The news spread quickly, and people started asking, "Who was this man?" An example which cites his discipline is a director of projects at CCI was corrupt, and he had been getting away with it because he had some political connections. This was, of course, absolutely unacceptable to Dr. Rajugaru. He made sure that the man was sacked. Now, the sacking finally happened the day before this man was to retire. One day more, and he would have gone anyway in the natural course of things, but because he was dismissed, he lost all his retirement benefits. Some people felt sorry for him. After all, he was going in any case. What did one more day matter? But Rajugaru's principles on such issues were ironclad. And this sent a very powerful message down the line across the organization that no matter who you are or however powerful, dishonesty would no longer be tolerated in CCI. This characteristic of never looking down on any form of work and a deep recognition of the dignity of the labor was one of the reasons that throughout his working life he was loved by workers. The other reason was his empathy that extended to all. This was not a part of any management strategy. It was simple who he was as a human being. If there was a problem, an accident, an illness, he would be there at the hospital at the end of a grueling workday to give assurance and lend a helping hand if needed. If there was a death, he saw it as his duty to comfort the grieving family and provide whatever assistance was possible. It is a truth about human beings that most of us fail to or decode, not to acknowledge. That most people are honest by nature and would prefer to live honest lives in honest environment. And when the person in charge is a shining beacon of that virtue and rewards and punishes on the basis of that, most people are not only happy but feel motivated to give their best without fear. Dr. Raju had managed to change the public sector culture. The old lethargy was gone. Employees were now proud to work for CCI. His philosophy was simple. If you were given a task and gave your 100% honestly and didn't succeed, you could be trained. He would help you improve. But you haven't given the task that you had with honesty and commitment, there was no escape. And he had no time for excuses. In his dictionary, there was no such word as but. If you did it, you did it. If you didn't, you didn't. No excuses, please. In his 5 years as CMD, CCI was transformed as a company. Sales revenue rose nearly fourfold, from rupees 3.55 crores when he had joined to rupees 12.50 crores. Not only did the efficiency of its existing plants improve dramatically, CCI set up 4 new plants across India. This was a record achievement. All these plants boasted the latest technology, an area where CCI had fallen behind the more dynamic sector players. With Dr. Raju at the helm for 5 years, CCI again became a tough and modern company, giving its competitors a run for their money. As if turning around CCI was not enough workload, Dr. Raju during this period was also an advisor to the governments of Indonesia, Malaysia, and Bhutan for industrial development. In 1977, the Government of India honored him with Padma Shri award in recognition of his efforts. In 1978, having reached the retirement age of 58 years, he left CCI. At the age of 58 years, when most people hung up their boots, Dr. Raju was all set to enter the most exciting phase of his life as an entrepreneur, educationist, and philanthropist that would impact hundreds of thousands of lives for generations to come. After retirement, he promoted several industries in the Andhra Pradesh state like Rashi Cement, Vishnu Cement, Rashi Refractories, Rashi Ceramics, Telangana Paper Mills, Rashi Software, Rashi Finance, and Investment Limited. His first small step as an entrepreneur into the industry with his very own Rashi group of industries became a giant leap of success. Every Rashi cement plant was completed ahead of schedule and under budget. It's very easy for us now to say he established a lot of industries, but that's not the case with Dr. Raju during those days. The state of Andhra Pradesh too lagged behind many states of India on human development indices. Literacy was low, much of the population was still dependent on subsistence agriculture, and there were not too many industries other than some public sector units. Especially lacking was indigenous entrepreneurship on a large scale. It was while he was in the process of working out his future plans that he was approached by men from his own and other nearby villages. Kumadwali's most hilarious son was India's greatest living expert on cement. So why couldn't he set up a cement plant? There would be direct economic benefits to the people and the region, plus the ensuing multiplier effects. Setting up a cement plant of reasonable size needed a large amount of capital. One could go to banks and financial institutions for loans, but that could happen only after a substantial amount of seed capital had been raised, and he certainly did not have even a fraction of the sort of money needed. Not to worry, said local landlords. They sold some of their lands and gave that money as seed capital for his venture. They saw no better man to entrust the sales proceeds of their lands other than Dr. B.V. Raju Garu. People from more than 50 villages in the area rallied around, some of them giving as little as Rs 5,000 for the project. The total promoters' contribution finally came to Rs 1.38 crores. Against this, the Andhra Pradesh Industrial Development Corporation provided a further Rs 1.40 crores. The seed capital had been raised. Thus was born Rashi Cement, a people's company in more senses than one. Cement Raju had found his next mission. He had been a star in the private sector, had excelled in the public sector, and now, when most men hung up their boots, would begin his journey as an entrepreneur. Right from the day one, Dr. Raju drove Rashi Cement at a blistering pace. Here is a quick timeline. The company was incorporated in 1978. Sri Raju's fame and tales of his accomplishments had preceded him when he approached the Andhra Pradesh government for land for Rashi's first factory. The procedure for acquiring 268.5 acres in Vadapalli village in Nalgonda district was completed in an astonishing 35 days against the usual period of 8 months to a year. It was the same with the financial institutions. The Industrial Development Bank of India cleared a loan of rupees 18 crores, a very large sum at that time in 45 days, an all-time record. The construction of the 3 lakh ton Vadapalli plant was completed an amazing 18 months ahead of schedule and at a cost of rupees 23.59 crores as against the budgeted cost of rupees 30 crores. Commercial production began on 15th April 1982 and the plant almost immediately started working at 125 to 130% capacity utilization per day. 1.5 months later, when Rashi Cement closed its financial year on 30th June 1982, it had earned a profit of rupees 3.70 crores, a stunning achievement. For the financial year ending 1984, India's largest selling business newspaper, The Economic Times, based on its study of the top 251 private sector companies in terms of assets, ranked Rashi Cement as the most profitable large organized sector company in the country. Rashi had achieved this remarkable feat within 2.5 years of beginning commercial operations. While being part of one of the most heavily regulated industries, cement prices were tightly controlled by the government. In fact, by 1985, in just 7 years' time, Rashi Cement had become the Rashi Group of Industries with a total capital investment of almost rupees 250 crores. In his interview to Business World, he explained, while we spend liberally on technology, our plant and employees, we have cut non-productive expenditure, rent, electricity, telephones and travel to the minimum. The management's goal is rising production and decreasing expenditure. There were three broad principles Dr. Raju had when it came to what a better product meant: best quality, correct weight, prompt delivery. This may sound simple, but in reality, it involved market insight, innovative thinking, and building an unrivaled distribution ecosystem. The weight of the cement bags had to be kept absolutely correct. If it was supposed to be a 50 kilogram bag, it could not even have a 50 gram less. If it was half a kilo more, then that was not a problem, but never less than what had been promised to the customer. At the heart of his management philosophy were people. He was basically a people's man. He knew that organizations are not built by machines, they are built by human beings. And he was by nature a humane and humble person. He would address the simplest man with the honorific Garu. This fixation with unnecessary or unavoidable costs reflected an austerity at the core of Sri Raju's character. When he had taken as the chairman and managing director of CCI, he was entitled to a Grand Raj era bungalow in Luton's Delhi with spread out lawns. He saw no use for this extravagance and chose a modest 3 bedroom house. In spite of everyone urging him to, he never bought a car until he found it right. He felt that buying a car meant spending the shareholders' money on his luxury. He finally bought it when the company was doing good. Dr. Raju saw himself as a trustee of public funds, especially the small shareholders who had given him the money that they had got from selling their ancestral land to put up the seed capital for Rashi Cement. He told Business World, the majority of our shareholders are agriculturists who have to toil for 12 to 14 hours per day to earn modest sums. Even in the inflationary times, rupees 10 is a lot of money in the countryside. So we have to act as trustees of their money and spend it with the greatest possible care, or we are likely to lose their confidence. Dr. Raju's management principles were simple. If someone was sincere and hardworking, the sky was the limit for that person. He used to say, organization is temple. Duty is God, work is worship. There is a recurring theme in Sri Raju's career. He would hire bright and raw young men, youngsters he had seen some spark in, who needed only right guidance to achieve their potential. He would invest his time and energy in them, train them and watch them and judge their competence and sincerity. These young men whom Sri Raju mentored and who helped carry his mission forward freely acknowledge him as their guru and give him credit for the success they have achieved in their lives. Even decades after the professional association with Sri Raju ended, indeed they admit in one voice that their work philosophy was shaped for life by that extraordinary man and he remains as a guiding light for them. Dr. Raju believed that education is the key to help a person rise to the state of true humanness. He made a silent vow to himself that if he ever had the means, he would do something for education. He knew how education had empowered him to break the shackles imposed on him by history, and he would never forget how that had been made possible because of his mother's vision and sacrifice. After reaching several new heights in his career, Dr. B.V. Raju Garu channeled all his energy and own funds to bring to reality his long cherished dream of promoting and disseminating knowledge and serving the cause of education in general and professional education in particular. Thus, Sri Vishnu Educational Society came into being in 1997. Sri Vishnu Educational Society bases all its work on three core values: an understanding that the students need to be specially nurtured and prepared through personalized attention to their needs. All members of the society are like members of the same family, and a genuine concern for the welfare of all the stakeholders and most importantly the faculty. A need to expand the benefits of Sri Vishnu Educational Society to the larger needs of the community in a natural manner. He chose Narsapur in Medak district and Bhimavaram in West Godavari district for establishing higher and technical education institutions. Initially, he established two engineering colleges, a dental college, and a hospital, a college of pharmacy, a college for computer education, a polytechnic, and various schools under the aegis of Sri Vishnu Educational Society. Later, two new colleges of pharmacy and more industry specific disciplines were added to the list. Dr. B.V. Raju Garu was conferred with Padma Shri Award in 1997 and Padma Bhushan in 2001 by the Government of India and was awarded honorary doctorate by Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Hyderabad. Not everyone is permanent on this earth. This great personality left us in the year 2002. An industrialist, educationist, and social entrepreneur, Sri K.V. Vishnu Raju Garu took over the reins of Sri Vishnu Educational Society after the sad demise of founder chairman Padma Bhushan Dr. B.V. Raju Garu in 2002. He brought in a global outlook, strategic vision, and passion for social enterprise and institution building as chairman of Sri Vishnu Educational Society. As an alumnus of REC Trichy and Michigan Technological University, USA, and a brief stint as chemical engineer at DuPont de Nemours, Wilmington, Delaware, USA, facilitated him to manage and challenge the phenomenal technological growth, face the expectations and complexities in a fast evolving marketplace. His hands on leadership staged SVES into one of the pioneers of internationally acceptable engineering, medical and professional, and K-12 education. He is the vanguard in building an organization that was deeply committed to values, with a firm belief that success would be its inevitable eventual outcome. The institutions running under the aegis of Sri Vishnu Educational Society not only focus on the academics of students but also on their full form development. Thus, there's also an innovation center, Vedic, Vishnu Educational Development and Innovation Center. It's a unique center of excellence set up as a transformational platform for Sri Vishnu Educational Society institutions. This center is involved in educational research to increase student success and promote active learning practice with a mission to create inspiring teachers and innovative students. It provides positive and professional environment through excellent facilities. Sri Vishnu Educational Society is the only campus in Andhra Pradesh to provide a TV academy exclusively for students, and it works with motto by the students and for the students. This is a sequel to the success of Radio Vishnu and adds hue to the colorful spectrum of already existing creative hub of students. The ancestral house of Dr. B.V. Raju Garu in Kumadvalli village is transformed into a nodal center for excellence in school education, which provides hands-on experience to around 10,000 students every year studying in 27 government schools within a radius of 10 kilometers around the village. The memorial of Dr. B.V. Raju Garu is a powerful and humbling place where one can see his chair and table, the bed he slept on, his favorite books on the shelves. It's almost impossible to believe that such a man who earned so much wealth and gave away so much and positively impacted the lives of hundreds of thousands of people and continues to do so, could have lived in such simplicity, but he had been born in such a simple home and he had lived a simple life. Today, the violent and bustling Bhimavaram campus with students hurrying to their classes with the backpacks, the basketball games in the evening, the serene teachers' colony charms any visitor. There's a keenness to learn in the air and paradoxically both energy and tranquility. One can hear laughter on the grounds and also see the quest concentration in the classrooms and laboratories. The canteens have a cheerful buzz and the library a weighty but comfortable silence. There are boundaries, but within these boundaries there is an unusual freedom to seek, discover and grow. Someone once said that legacy is not leaving something for people, it's leaving something in people. Dr. Bhupati Raju Visamraju Garu left behind a legacy far greater than money or wealth. He left behind one of characters and value. The legacy touches every aspect of the work that Sri Vishnu Educational Society had been doing, and in turn every one of the thousands of students who study in its excellent institutes and its nearly 80,000 alumni who are today spread out across the world. How do you create a responsible citizen? Indeed, build character. But this question is central to Sri Vishnu Educational Society education philosophy. After all, its founder chairman Dr. B.V. Raju Garu manufactured cement, but throughout his career he also built character. His value system influenced hundreds of people his life touched, and they passed that forward to their subordinates and children. When he set up SVS, says Sri K.V. Vishnu Raju Garu, He wanted to provide quality education, but he had a very holistic view of what education means. He wanted to build good, honest, caring citizens. Dr. Raju once said, age is just a number. If you truly believe in yourself and have clarity of purpose, anything can be achieved at any point of time. Both the B.V. Raju Foundation and Sri Vishnu Educational Society are the culmination of his vision, inspiration, conscious effort, and will to help the society, particularly the poor and needy. Dr. B.V. Raju Foundation is rendering several social service activities keeping village development concept in mind, covering education, housing, health, hygiene, water supply, upliftment of women, and other infrastructure development activities spread over to several places in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Throughout his life, both as an industrialist and an educationalist, Padma Bhushan Dr. B.V. Raju Garu continued to devote himself to the service of the people. He always kept his doors open to the poor and the needy and participated actively in welfare programs for improving the socio-economic conditions of the society. His services for the welfare of the people are innumerable and invaluable. Padma Bhushan Dr. B.V. Raju Garu lived an exemplary life. He teaches us that well-to-do have a responsibility towards the less fortunate. Though we may not be in a position to help everybody, we can at least start by helping a few because it is the motto of service in us that is important. His message is simple and straight. I hope now you got an eye about this great personality. Okay, listeners, as a part of this Guinness Book of World Record attempt, I hope you now enjoyed the topic. Now let me introduce my next student RJ Bandi Sanvita and her participant number is 91. Keep listening to Radio Vishnu 90.4 towards Knowledge Society.